two-part series. So 2 weeks ago, we started a series of connecting, following up, and prospecting, I believe, and it was one of the breakout sessions from Celebration. And the reason that we chose to go that route and look at recordings is because, honestly, you guys, I want to make it very apparent and very obvious how much information each and every one of us have right in front of us. How many of us can get in the excuse sometimes that, we just don't know the answer. If only we could hear this person, if only we could hear this training, right? I can hear it all the time. I can hear it all the time in my own head, where I'll say, you know what, man, if I just could hear a keynote, from X, Y, and Z, if I could just hear a template from this one person, then I would move into action. And so the reason why we wanted to go back to some of the breakouts is, one, there was a ton of breakouts. And I don't know if anybody on this call or watching the recording has listened to all of them. If you have, let me just say, you can be anticipating a massive influx in growth in your business in the next couple of months, because all of that information I don't believe is going to be wasted whatsoever. But two, because I just want us to all just realize how much of a gift we have here at Isagenix when it comes to the type of training. Now, I know that many of you comment in the chats if this is your first network marketing company. I see Melissa raising her hand. Okay, we got a couple people. First network marketing company. I'm truly pursuing it. So here's the problem with that. Here's the hard part about that, is that we lack perspective. Okay, because this is my first network marketing company. It's my last network marketing company, trust me. Being in this for 7 years and having done some research and looked around, I have seen what else is out there, and I am so grateful. Autumn and I were just talking about it on our walk yesterday morning, of how grateful we are. The things that came together, the alignment that had to happen outside of our control that allowed all of what is happening right now to be happening. And so the hard part about us being in our first network marketing company and our last network marketing company is that we can lack perspective. We can lack really the pains of building other compensation plans. We can lack maybe building or promoting products that don't really work. Can you guys imagine just for a second if you were promoting a product that you didn't 100% wholeheartedly believe in, that wasn't backed by science? If somebody came to you and said, Ellen, I really love the idea of these products, but do you have any scientific research backing what you're saying? And you said, you know what? We don't. You just got to take my word for it. What if you didn't have somebody like a Dr. Plant that was able to have the credentials and the eloquency in which he could communicate this information on the new whole blend products so incredibly? Guys, what we have at Isagenix, we can take so quickly for granted. We really can. And so part of the reason that we wanted to use these breakout sessions and to watch a recording, which can seem so elementary, is because the training and the information that we have within this company, not outside, not at other coaching programs, not at other leadership seminars, not at other personal development places, wherever, here within Isagenix is unprecedented. I've been on the phone with Sharon Walsh this week. I've been on the phone with Lynn Hagedorn, Emily Batter, all these other leaders, and we're all saying the same thing, and every single one of them is talking to me and saying, James, what we have here at Isagenix, people do not understand. We have a library of some of the highest quality training you could possibly get your hands on. Now, before we dive into this, before we dive into tonight's content, I want to talk about an enemy of growth. An enemy of growth. Because right now, show of hands, who is wanting to grow in their life? Who is wanting to grow? Okay, so let me just go ahead and tell you, there are some enemies right now. There are some obstacles, straight oppositions that are working to oppose your pursuit of growth. Okay? And I've got some bad news. I've got some bad news for all of us tonight. If we're not intentionally preparing for growth, then we are unintentionally preparing for decline. If you are not intentionally preparing for growth, then you are unintentionally preparing for decline. Now that might sound hard, and I hope it kind of does, Because unfortunately, many people are walking around in life right now thinking that they're growing, thinking that just because they became a year older that they're growing. Growth is not automatic. Growth is a choice, and it's a choice that we make day by day, minute by minute. And so what I want to encourage all of us on this call today, if you do not have one, maybe if you've gotten lax over the past couple of days or couple of weeks, prepare to grow. Prepare to grow. One of the enemies of your growth right now is complexity. Complexity, things being complex. And one of the things that I wanted to watch this video and watch this training about is because the connecting, following up, and closing process of connecting is so simple. And we talk about it all the time, but we can get so in our heads and so overcomplicated and make things so more complex than they need to be. So as you're watching all of this, as we're sharpening our axes, as we're sharpening our blades for this coming week of having conversations and seeking people out to say, hey, are you ready to take a look at Isagenix? May we be listening through ears that are prepared to grow, not just aimlessly listening because this is the Sunday night team call for Freedom Living Team, but that we're actually choosing to show up and say, hang on a second, I have a decision of either remaining the same, which is, in my opinion, sliding backwards today, or moving forward and actually maybe applying one or two things that I hear from this call tonight. So I'm going to get this recording started. I have my pen and my paper in hand. I'm going to be taking notes, you guys, because I am hungry to grow. And I'm hungry to get, through these enemies and these obstacles that are wanting to combat my growth. Everybody on this line right now has the ability to grow. Everybody has the wherewithal to grow. And now it's about really putting in the mindset and saying, okay, let's do this thing. So are you guys all ready? Is everybody ready to grow? Okay, we're gonna share the screen and we're gonna get rolling right here and now, because last week it didn't work, but this week it did, because it's a new week. So here we go. Thumbs up if you can hear it.
Be authentic and practice. Okay, Lloyd. Anything you want to add to your best tips for effective connecting?
Well, that was so well put by CG, but I guess a couple of things that come to mind for me is that in the beginning especially, I used to put a lot of pressure on myself to bring up Isagenix in the first conversation. And I think that can really spin you out and actually make you even more nervous to talk to people. So I think the whole premise of conversations come before commissions is really important to understand. So you don't have to always bring up Isagenix in the first conversation. Just do what Deb said, say hi. She's been doing it since she's like 1. So just say hi, get used, flex the muscle like CG said, just do that and get used to that. And I think the KPI, the thing you would want to focus on in terms of measuring your connecting every day is what Debbie said before, which is how many people have you added to Facebook? How many people have you had a genuine, authentic connection with just by saying hello and found some common ground and connected with on Facebook? And I think once you've got that, then you can talk to them anytime about Isagenix, So I think that's the most important thing when it comes to connecting.
Conversation is over commission. I love that. And how many people do you reach out to every single day who've actually made a connection? Thank you, Lloyd. Okay, so we've got past the initial connecting phase, which was good. And a lot of great takeaways that our field can use. After you connect, what's next? Following up. So Lloyd, why is it so important to follow up?
Great question. Follow up. Everybody knows. Well, I'm sure everybody's heard it. The fortune is in the follow-up. But it's not just in the follow-up. I think it's in the follow-ups. It's more than one. And I think that's the part that people probably don't understand so quickly, is that it's going to take more than one time, one exposure of Isagenix for someone to say yes. And I think now it's like 12 times maybe, or 15 times they need to see this or hear this before they say, hey, I'm comfortable to make a decision now, let's go. Now, you are going to have people, as soon as you talk to them, you're like, yep, get my pack, I'm ready to go. And you're going to be like, oh my God, why can't I just find more of you? But the reality is you're going to have to take people through a process of following up. And the whole, when it comes to follow-up, I think the biggest thing that people fear the most is they don't want to bug people. They don't want to be that pesky friend that annoys people. And that puts a bit of fear in them, thinking, well, I don't want my friends to think I'm this person. and I don't want to lose friends over this. And that prevents people following up. And unfortunately, if you stop following up on the first or second or third time, then you're probably not going to enroll as many people as you need to build your business. So the whole idea of follow-up is to do it elegantly, nice and elegantly. And if you're following up really well, they won't even know you're following up. And that is the type of skill that you need to develop over time, because what CG said before about connecting, it's a skill, it's a muscle, so is follow-up. The unfortunate thing is we have to test it on live human beings, okay? So thankfully, they can't get hurt in the process. It's just going through this uncomfortable approach until you do develop that skill. So that's the importance of follow-up, is that most of your enrollments are going to come from follow-up. That's the reality. And so this is such an important thing to understand. And there's many parts to it, but the whole idea is once you've connected and they've seen the information, the follow-up begins. And it doesn't always have to be, hey, did you watch the video? Hey, are you ready to get started now? Are you ready to get started now? That's not necessarily great follow-up. It's always just about, okay, how am I going to add value to this person over time so that when they're ready to get started, I'm there for them. And that is probably the key to great follow-up. And there's so many tips and tricks that we're going to talk about on this particular piece now. They're going to be effective for you to hone that skill and become proficient in that.
Great, Lloyd. And Lloyd, you said, like, you know, the art and the skill is when people don't know that you're following up. And that's great. Some of you guys have that skill. But someone coming in new, right, they're going to practice that skill. And you mentioned 1 to 12 conversations. So how do you follow up for that new person? How do you follow up without coming across weird or pushy?
Great question, Cal. I'm glad you asked it, but there's an element of just trying to figure out your flow. So once you do figure it out, your following up abilities and your skills are going to change, and how you do it's going to change. But how we like to do it is that we like to keep it nice and simple, and we like to keep it duplicatable. And that's so important in network marketing, that someone else can just copy what you do quite easily. So one of the most effective ways of following people up is once they've seen a video or they've spoken to you about Isagenix and they understand it, then the very first thing we do is we add them to our Facebook group so they can see all the incredible transformations and results that people are getting with our products. And that builds belief for them. That's social proof that this works. And once they're in there, it's very elegant. It's like every day or two, we'll tag them in a story appropriate to their goals. And it's just like a little touch. Just, hey, I thought of you. I thought you'd find this story interesting. And you tag them in a post with a photo of what they want to achieve. And it's like just little like hopes, right, over time. So we'll do that a couple times. And then what we'll do is if we've sent them the link from the app to get started, and they haven't quite enrolled yet, we'll go and change the chat colors in the group, in the messenger chat. And that pushes the messenger chat right to the top of their feed. So we'll do that. It just gives them a little touch saying, hey, I'm still here. Are you ready to get started, type thing, without actually saying it. And then what we'll do is we'll try and actually catch up with them some way, or perhaps, I mean, right now it's probably Zoom, but we'll try and catch up for coffee with them and not even bring up Isagenix, just be around them. And they end up saying, hey, it was a great catch up. Listen, I'm going to get started on that pack this week. And you don't have to bring it up a lot of the times, okay? And then if a week's gone by, whatever it is, and they're still not started, we can say something like, hey, when you said you wanted to get in shape or you wanted to earn some extra income with Isagenix, and they would often say, yeah. We would say, well, look, were you serious about that or just having a bad day? Or were you serious about that or just kidding around? And it kind of brings out the objections in them that you want to achieve. So that's something else you can do with follow-up. But again, it's just, it's commenting on their social media. If they're posting and you're following them on social media, you can click on Facebook, follow first. And that means everything they're posting is coming up to you first. As soon as you jump on social media, you're like, boom, and you're commenting on their stuff. That's actually giving them value. And that's saying to them, hey, I'm still here. I'm ready for you whenever you're ready to get started. And I think these are the types of ways that we tend to follow up rather than the really aggressive, hey, you ready to get started today? If that helps.
Oh, that definitely helps. So change the chat color, which is genius, then follow first, and then you went back to tagging them on stories, which goes back to really getting to know who they are and what their pain points are. If you never knew that, you couldn't really tag them on these stories. So I love that. Debbie, I know from working with your team, following up is such an important aspect to what you and your team do. Is there anything that you wish to add to this?
Oh boy, yes. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I'm learning from, Lloyd and from CG. I'm just loving each and every part of this. So I know that everybody else is too. And I hope that people re-listen and re-listen, because these are the nuggets right here. I would like to say, your question was, how do you follow up without being weird or pushy? What if we change the script in our head and we're not weird or pushy? What if somebody's searching for us? I said on a call this morning that I'm searching for some things online, and I wish somebody would just show up and say, here, I have what you want to buy. Like, I want to be sold. So what if we just change that script from weird to pushy to this person wants to be sold? They want what I have. What if we just redid that? I mean, that's what I do anyway. I do that. But the follow-up, for me, we do exactly what Lloyd is saying. Send them the information. We put them in our team page, our product page. We tag them. We give them a video. We do all of that. I don't change the chat colors, so that was pretty interesting. We do all of that. The only thing that I'm pretty hard-nosed, and we teach the team pretty hard-nosed, that I have the follow-up appointment before I give them any information. So I always make sure that, I'm going to put you in my private product coaching group, or I'm going to send you a video. Will you have watched it by 4 o'clock tomorrow? Is 4 o'clock tomorrow good to jump on the phone so I can answer all your questions? If 4 doesn't work, is 7 good? Give them a couple different, I like to have that appointment. Now, follow up if they don't answer. I like to send, I'll voice message, right? When I call, if they don't answer, and I'll say, hey, I'm calling you for our scheduled appointment. I know you were really interested. I hope you're okay. I have about 15 minutes available now. If you can, call me right back just to let me know you're okay. And then I'll hang up and I'll text them the same message. Are you okay? And then if they don't answer, my husband, Jeff, is brilliant at this. If it's Facebook Messenger or text, if they don't answer, if they ghost him, he'll send them eyeballs. Like the eyeballs, the emoji, like, are you okay? I didn't hear back from you. And just always touching on them. And another follow-up is also messaging, did you ever get started? Did we ever get you started? As it goes on, if time goes on and they're ghosting you, did we ever get you started, or whatever you can do if they're ghosting you? But we always, we'll do the 2-3 days, the week, 2 weeks, a month. And we're always commenting on their stuff on Facebook or in social media. They'll comment. So we're always staying very present in their feed. I hope that answers, but that's what we do with follow-up. We make sure that we're always very proactive, hands-on.
Yeah, that's great. And the voice message I love, because it shows the truth coming out of your voice. They hear what you're saying, and they know that you really care about them. And the same thing what Lloyd said, you guys do the same thing. You tag people and you add them to your groups. I see a pattern here, people. Okay, so what methods do you use when you follow up, Lloyd?
Well, methodology is, thanks, Cal. The methodology is similar to what we just spoke about, but I think the most important thing to understand is the principle. And the principle is to actually move people from exposure to exposure to exposure, or to each subsequent follow-up, whether it be an appointment and then something else. There's got to be a number of follow-ups happen before they actually purchase. Now, what I love about the simplicity of the tagging and things is it's super duplicatable. A mum with like 7 children who's busy, who has no marketing experience, who has no understanding, they can do that. And what we want to create in our environment, and it's kind of a little bit like what Debbie was talking about people love to be sold to. One of the things we try and do with our follow-up is we try and place people in a position to buy. And so they buy kind of in their own time. And I find that if that's happening within our team, then everybody at every level can duplicate it. And I find that the more aggressive I am with my follow-up, it tends to be the less duplicatable when people watch me do it. So we try and keep it really subtle, pretty straightforward. But when you're following up, if it's nice and like simple and not aggressive, it also it means you've got to do more of it. So you're going to have to be prepared to follow up a little bit more if it's not a call on the phone, a phone call, anything like that, or face-to-face. So that's one thing to consider. Now, in terms of methodology, I mean, a couple of more things that come to mind are when there's a promotion, such a great way to take your list and follow up with everyone you've ever spoken to about Isagenix. So when there's a promotion on, like, free shipping's amazing. So when Isagenix has like a free shipping promo come out or 10% off, we recently had one not too long ago here, and it was crazy. The whole team just said a really simple message. Hey, not sure if you've seen it, but there's 10% off this week. I know that cost was an issue back then, or the price was an issue for you back then. This is a great time to jump into the most affordable, way to get started. Are you open to getting started now? All right. So they're the best times to get people to follow up using those promotions. The other thing is that quite often a lot of teams around the world, they'll do challenges. And we're one of those things. We do 30-day challenges quite often. We do them probably once a month. And that is so our team has something to talk to someone about again. And it would be something like, hey, listen, I know you didn't quite make it to our last 30-day challenge or 11-day challenge. I know you wanted to get in shape and achieve those goals. Listen, we're doing another one. I'd love you to do it. I'm going to do it too. We could do it together. Are you open to jumping into this one? No worries. If not, just thought I'd ask. And that is just like, if we have one every month, we know our team has got something to talk to them about every single month. I think that within our team, most people are sending the link out. But quite often what will happen is that they'll send another link and say, look, this one might have expired by now. Here's another one. That's just another touch. But the methodologies are all just about enriching the relationship usually. I think a lot of the people in our team, they get a little bit shocked. They're like, listen, I just caught up with that person. I didn't even bring up Isagenix, and all of a sudden they want to get started with their whole family. It's crazy. And it's because you're just giving them your time. One of my most recent enrollments, it was, we know each other from the gym, and he knew what we were doing because we were connected on Facebook. But once he was added in our group and had the information, I would never really brought it up again. I just hung out with him a couple of times. And he said, I'm going to get started. I'm like, yep, no worries, man, no worries. Just click that link. A couple of times and he's in. It was just about hanging out with him, So I think that's a methodology that probably people don't maybe do enough of. And it's not always about just this hack or that hack, about enriching the relationship. If you want to be around this person, do you want them to be around you? And every time you're doing it, the energy you take into it is going to make a huge difference, what CG said before. So, follow up, but do it with energy and vigor and belief and posture, and that obviously comes with over time and practice.
I love what you said, Lloyd, about, you had your corporate promotions, but also monthly, your team's doing challenges to give reasons for you and your team to reach out to your warm or cold market. That's a great takeaway. Thank you, Lloyd. So CG, we know there are different ways to follow up. What do you do differently?
Yeah, I love everything Lloyd just said. I think he's so spot on. And I think what he said about, it's going to take some time. It's not always immediate, right? And very few people, I think, I am one of the few people that I enrolled in Isagenix the day I was exposed to it. But that's not the norm for most people. And so I kind of keep the mindset of, if you've ever heard the Will Smith quote, if we get on a treadmill together, two things are going to happen. You're going to get off first or I'm going to die. Only two options, right? That's how I build my Isagenix business. Either you're going to say yes or those are our two options, right? You say yes or I'm going to die at some point. So I'm still going to be here. Whether you want to say yes today or 10 years from now, it would be way smarter to say yes today. I would recommend you say yes today. But no matter what, I'm not going anywhere. And I think sometimes, especially now, people they're waiting to see how serious you are, especially if you're newer. They want to see how serious you are. They want to see how committed you are. They want to see if you're here today, gone tomorrow, right? Because they see it a lot all over the place. And so if you have the posture and conviction of, hey, I'm here when you're ready, but you're not my only game in town. I'm building a business with or without you. I'd love for you to come with me, but I'm doing it with or without you. That alone attracts people to want to come with you. It's that posture, that stance, that conviction of, I am doing this and I'd love you to come, but I don't need you to come.
That is great, right? They need you more than you need them, right? You're going to go wherever you're going to go. I love that. Okay, so Lloyd, You touched on this a little bit. So one of the biggest questions we always hear is how often and for how long should you keep following up with a prospect?
Thanks, Cal. Well, I think CG just answered that one so well, and that's so true. It's like, I'm going to be here until the end of days. Like, I'm always going to be here. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to follow up, directly for a number of years, but you can circle back at any time. And I think that's what CG was touching on. I'm going to be here, and I'm probably going to touch base with you every few months anyway. Even if you probably even said no to me, I'm still going to, at some point, catch up with you, see you, message you. I'm not going to forget about you. And so there's probably no length of time. I know that Warren Lance, a famous story, that he was prospecting Michael Klaus for 6 years. So I think that's a lesson that we can all take on board to really always follow up over a number of years. But yeah, I think that there's no rhyme or reason to how many times you want to follow up. The reality is, follow up as many times as you feel based on how badly you would love that person to be in your business or use the product. And so, like, if I've got a really great prospect and it's going to be fantastic, they are going to be in the business. I just want them in there so badly, and the way I show up to that, they're going to eventually start. So I think just keep going elegantly until they are obviously in the business. Now, if they've absolutely said no to you, like, no, I don't want to be a part of it, please don't message me like that, then I would encourage you not to keep messaging them. But you are able to circle back at some point. So I think if they're on your list, your suspect list, someone you do think would be great at this, but it's not the right time for them at all, and they've told you that, be okay with coming back in another 6 months, another 12 months, and say, hey, listen, I don't know if you've seen, but I'm doing this. I know you said no before. I know you had no interest in it, but has anything changed in your life? Are you open to having a look now? No worries if not. I just wanted to touch base. So I think that probably answers the timeline thing. I don't think there is a timeline. Depends on you. You want them in or not, So.
Yeah, so there's no real black and white answer, right? It's depending on who you're talking to. Okay. Debbie, I have to ask you the same question. So how often do you, or for how long do you follow up with a prospect?
Yeah, I think that, they pretty much, CG and Lloyd have answered that. We always want to follow up. I like to ask permission, like if they said no or not. Now I like to ask permission. Is it okay if I just maybe check in with you in a couple weeks or a month or 6 months? And then if the answer is no, I would like to say to them, I am a referral-based business. So would it be okay if I check in with you maybe in a couple months? Because maybe you have connected with somebody that really could use what I have. Would that be okay? And please feel free to give my number out. So any way that I can follow up, if it's on any social media platform, and if it's a no or whatever, then I'm going to ask permission. Can I just kind of check in with you in a couple months? Because I am referral based and maybe we could help each other out. However I can get in there and whatever their personality is. And I think that unless they're somebody you don't want in your business and you don't want to deal with, I think that we should always follow up, always find a way to follow up.
That's great. So by asking permission, you're keeping that door open.
All right. So it's 7:30 on the dot. Comment in the chats. What was one of the things that you took away from tonight? For me, I took away follow up until, and I love what she said just there. When people tell me no, like, no, I don't want any part of this. Okay, great. Like, do you mind if I follow up with you in 6 months? And, I'm a referral-based business. And anybody that that you may have come across that could, use what I have, I greatly appreciate you passing them along to me. Never stop following up, Gina says. You guys, there's some more content at the end of this call that is really, really valuable. Christy said, ask for referrals and posture. I love that. Ellen, follow-ups, SSS, because it's plural, it's multiple. I'm not going anywhere. You guys, people can feel whether you're all in with Isagenix or not. They can feel it. They can feel if you're teetering, and maybe if that person's yes is going to determine whether you stay in Isagenix or not. Marbell said, schedule the appointment and follow up before sending the tool. Huge nugget. That is a huge key to having people actually view the tool that you send them and then following up and actually having a meeting or conversation afterwards. Keep the combo open by asking for referrals. Feel free to give my number out. Absolutely. Elegantly following up by adding value. They won't even know you're following up. Dom, that's exactly it. That's what I'm doing on a daily basis. I'm always adding value to people that I think would be great at what I do. When you're adding value, true value to people in any form of life, whether that's, daily routine hacks, whether that's, all sorts of things, you name it, personal development. I'm referring books and podcasts left and right. Listen, if you listen to something great this week, if you read something great this week, my challenge to you is to think of 5 people who are not in your Isagenix business and send it to them and say, hey, Gina, I just listened to this podcast about leadership. I think you would dig it. Let me know your thoughts. And just send it. Send it to 5 people. If you hear something or read something great, send it to them. Because then that was what that's going to do is it's going to go, Gina, you know what? Gina's a person of value. Like, she sends me awesome stuff all the time. Like, she's always sending me this leadership stuff and how to be healthy and how to overcome your fears and all this stuff. Man, like, I want to be, none of my friends are sending me stuff like that. Nobody in my world sends me stuff like that. How can we add value to people? And that first starts by what you first put in good in your own mind, whether that's through audio or through books or through video seminars, whatever it is. And then say, hey, I thought of you because, and have nothing to do with Isagenix. You build that value and you build that value and you build that value. So you guys, like I said, there's a couple of more minutes on that connecting and following up. But listen, complexity is going to try and come in this week. Complexity is going to try and come in this week and stunt your growth. It's going to try and make you feel like Isagenix is too overwhelming. It's going to make you try and feel like using the Penny app is too laborious or too chaotic on your computer or your phone. Listen, we need to do away and kill complexity in every way we can in our business so that we can work simply, we can work succinctly, and we can work efficiently. So when you find yourself getting, in the complex mindset of really just trying to dissect things, analysis paralysis, just take a breath and say, wait a second, is this really as hard as my mind is telling me it is right now? And more often than not, it will not be. And that can really initiate and instigate that action again. Also, this Thursday, we are going to have our first virtual overview. I'm going to be hosting a 20-minute virtual Isagenix 2.0 virtual overview so that anybody on the planet can get on. It's going to be 20 minutes. It's going to be tight. It's going to be quick. I'm going to give people the vision of Isagenix, what's new about Isagenix 2.0, a little bit of my story. Anybody that you want to have on there, get them on there. I'll post a link here in Freedom Living Team Business, but you guys, this is going to be an amazing way, again, to do away with complexity and just send them on there. And then if you want to be on there and add value of your story and whatnot, validating what we're talking about, great. But we're going to start doing these virtually so that people can just hop on from wherever they are. And then Tuesday, August 18th, we have a in-person, I believe, at the Taylors, an in-person overview here in Knoxville for those of you who are local. But we're going to start doing virtual ones so that people can experience what's going on with Isagenix 2.0 all across the board. So we're 5 minutes over. I love you guys. Let's be intentional about our growth this week. Time. It's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern. 7 p.m. Eastern. This Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Isagenix 2.0 overview, 20 minutes. It's going to be awesome. So let's be intentional about our growth this week. How can you intentionally grow this week? We'll see you guys on Thursday. Finish that call if you want to. We'll see you.